The Amazon rainforest has been dubbed the lungs of the world. Most people can't seem to grasp just how big the Amazon rainforest is, but to put it in perspective, the size of Texas can fit in it 5 times. We're going to step into its wonderful world, which is truly a treasure trove of secrets waiting to be unveiled. From towering trees that stretch toward the sky, to intricate vines that weave tales of survival, and miracle plants, the Amazon rainforest is a living masterpiece. Now, century-old traditions and sustainable living practices form the backbone of vibrant communities. It's essential to save, not just for the life in it, but for the life outside of it as it's affecting the world as a whole. Now, this invaluable ecosystem is facing pressing challenges. Climate change, deforestation, and habitat destruction threatens what sustains the Amazon rainforest. It is crucial now more than ever to understand and protect this natural marvel. As we embark on this journey, we encounter captivating stories of resilience, solidarity, and cultural preservation. We shed light on the challenges faced by these remarkable communities in the face of external pressure, offering insight into their ongoing struggle for recognition, land rights, and cultural preservation. The traditional practices of tribes hold incredible potential for the fields of medicine and conservation. Scientists are now turning to Indigenous knowledge, recognizing its value, and discovering new treatments and preserving the rainforest biodiversity. Now, tribes have, for millennia, protected one of the most important biodiverse lands of the world after all, and try their best to do so today. Ayahuasca and psilocybin, for example, are being studied at Johns Hopkins University as a treatment for possible solutions to addiction and PTSD. And Amazon eels are being studied to help design better hydrogen batteries. Now, according to Mark Plotkin, an Amazon conservation teammate and ethnobotanist who studied tribal healers for 3 decades, says that he's seen plants cure afflictions that Western physicians could not. Now, of course, this isn't always the case. Medicine is needed, but how amazing is it that nature has so much that we need?
Esta es la planta de la ayahuasca, nuestra maestra, nuestra doctora.
Esto de acá es castaña. En los últimos años hemos visto la baja de producción de castaña.
Now, 70% of plants with anti-cancer properties exist only in the Amazon, and lapacho is one of them. Currently, this incredible medicinal plant is used to treat cancer, alleviate pain from chemotherapy, and fight infections. Now, cordoncillo has been long used by native cultures. This plant is useful as an anesthetic for those who are ill or have suffered an injury. By simply chewing on the leaves, your mouth will go numb. Now, rub it on a wound for the same effect. Next, forget nicotine patches, because the aromatic soda plant can be used to help cure addiction, including alcoholism and fever, and often used to treat women with ovarian cyst. Then, canlilla is also believed to be one of the medicinal plants that could increase the likelihood of conception. Now, those are some plants that I found interesting, but an array of medicinal plants exist in the Amazon rainforest. But before we keep going, hi, my name is Kim, and welcome to the Green Lab Coat. If you enjoy living a healthy lifestyle backed by science, make sure to subscribe for more videos. Also, don't forget to hit the like button to help the algorithm, and to the bell for complicated subjects made easy. Let's get started. The passion natives of this land bring about the species and biodiversity is unlike anything ever seen before. A spiritual connection between earth, man, and living things is very much alive, an overspilling of appreciation. Now, Amazon natives are said to have settled there some 39,000 to 32,000 years ago. Hunter-gatherer groups were once generally nomadic, living in small settlements for 4 to 5 years until all resources were exhausted. Then they moved on. Now, because of land colonization by non-Indigenous people, many locals were forced into sedentary lifestyles and then became peasants. And although more domesticated, this had an effect on the soil as it didn't get a chance to recuperate. But what they built years later was countless generations of Indigenous tribes that thrived in harmony with the rainforest, relying on its abundant resources while preserving its delicate balance. There are estimated to be 400 Indigenous tribes in the rainforest today, and over decades, Indigenous people have accumulated a wealth of expertise on how to coexist with wildlife. Now, their sustainable way of life kind of serves as a guiding light in our modern world, as we can skillfully learn how to manage the biodiversity. They understand the interconnectedness of all living beings and maintain a profound respect for nature, having developed intricate knowledge of medical plants, passing down this wisdom from generation to generation. Now is a world where utilizing plants containing hallucinogenic properties is tradition to bring them closer to a spiritual world. Now, the most important leader is the shaman, who has knowledge of plants and animals and is believed to be able to communicate with them. The late ecologist Aldo Leopold wrote, "The first rule of intelligent tinkering is to save all the pieces." Plotkin urges that so many cures come from the Amazon, but so many have also been undiscovered, and one day they just might save us. Now, he goes on to say that if people think no cure for COVID exists in the Amazon, we just don't know, so don't dismiss it. Now, according to him, COVID-19 was a result of humans' mistreatment with nature. Bats in the Amazon harbor the same diseases that the bats in Southeast Asia do. Legal and illegal trade in the Amazon include live turtles, parrots, crocodiles for skin, and jaguar teeth for Chinese medicine. Now, exports come out to 14 million per year, and this especially endangers large animals in particular. Now, in cases where animals are put down and used for health purposes, for the sake of saving a human's life, that can be an exception. But it shouldn't be done as a norm and done as a last resort. The example with eels mentioned earlier seems contradictory, but if eels are being used so we can mimic them instead of actually using them, it seems a short-term thing and cruelty-free. Now, other creatures can also be presumed to harbor as many viruses as African and Asian animals that gave us Ebola, SARS, and COVID-19. We're simply better off using plants for our benefit than animals, and the Amazon rainforest carries a colossal amount. Now, the indigenous communities that care so deeply for the Amazon also face challenges. Deforestation, illegal logging, and land encroachment threaten their way of life, endangering this repository of ancient knowledge. When boundaries and rules aren't clearly defined, meaning that the territories have been defined from their ancestors but not written on paper or documentation, it's an invitation for corruption. What was once gleaming blue waters that you could see straight through are now murky and foggy. Mercury succeeds over the waters, and in turn, it affects the fish and health of the native people. Deforestation is believed to be the #2 cause of climate change, and the Amazon rainforest, being so big, is a carbon sink. Now, trees have been cut down to make palm oil, paper, furniture, fuel, and room for cattle ranching. In just 40 years, 1 billion hectares of forest have been cut down worldwide, an area bigger than China. According to the World Counts, if current trends in deforestation and consumerism continue, there will be no more rainforest by 2100. 75% of wildlife live in rainforest. All these species will be wiped out when all the rainforests disappear. Now, if you're wondering if an increase in human population may be to blame, you're absolutely right. The world's population is growing at 215,000 people a day, and consumerism is increasing by 350,000 consumers per day, making trees needed for resources. Now, how do we stop illegal and legal deforestation? Over the past years, locals have came together with governments in efforts to stop the exploitation of the forest. With drones to hover over the lands and electronic perimeters that mark native landmark limits, it will hopefully discourage some illegal activities. But threats to the livelihood of native people are especially common with illegal coca leaf operations. The sacred lands are rapidly being cleared by invaders to expand the cultivation of coca leaves and all that it brings deep in the rainforest. Now, indigenous communities actually find themselves under threats of violence for denouncing the activities, and according to an environmental defender in Peru, it's gotten so bad that the children fear for their parents' lives whenever they step out of residential limits. Now, people forget that a lot of the Amazon rainforest was man-made and expanded upon after tribes had already settled there. It's unfair that authorities came along after the fact and said, you must abide by park rules. Now, this takes a lot of autonomy away from the people already living there. And although some may argue that it's for the best for this reserve, Well, some entities have good intentions, but others don't. Also, the natives want what's best for the rainforest as well, arguably more. They just have a different way of doing it, and in some cases, they've worked out even better. Now, it's not the entire fault of developers. Again, when the land was won by the natives, it was never marked on a map. But a good conversation with this native will surely prove it. They can tell you how it was won, about decade-long traditions, and they can even educate you on entire species and plant and animal life there. Now, instead of fairly negotiating with locals, governments have set laws in place that have even divided tribes on a map. So control from government is still a problem. And enterprises don't seem to mind starting construction projects without consulting the tribes. Now, spoken by a true native to the rainforest, people with more power and resources are cutting down nature, but nature is what guarantees us life. It brings us fruit, water, oxygen, shade, life, and makes communities thrive. It's also vital in the role of stabilizing local, regional, and international waters. Amidst these challenges, there is hope. Scientists, environmentalists, and local communities have united, working tirelessly to preserve this breathtaking ecosystem for generations to come. Now, Indigenous communities, the guardians of this magnificent rainforest, continue to teach us the importance of sustainable practices and their harmonious relationship with the land. It serves as a powerful inspiration for conservation efforts, and it should inspire everybody. Together, we can make a difference. Now, only by understanding its immense biodiversity and supporting conservation efforts, we can ensure a thriving Amazon rainforest for future generations. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey and for your commitment to preserving the living legacy of the Amazon rainforest. Now, these are ways to spread awareness, and here are some things that you can do. If you want to go vegan, do this. Cut out meat, eggs, and dairy. Now, this cuts deforestation for animal agriculture because of demand for animal products. If you don't want to go vegan, do this. Diminish your meat, eggs, and dairy. This diminishes deforestation. And for both parties, at number 2 we have replace paper and wood with tech, bamboo, or sustainable material. Number 3, don't buy any products with palm oil. It's really not good for you. 4, make sure the soy you eat is non-processed and responsibly sourced. The soybean is a big driver to the Amazon rainforest. Instead of cutting out soy, we can help the rainforest by only purchasing soy that is good, organic, and healthy, given that the majority of soy is extremely processed and unfortunately gives soy a bad reputation. 5, buy recycled gold. This stops the gold mining. And finally, number 6 is write letters to businesses that are losing your support. This simply requires looking at their mission statement, and a great way to keep businesses in line and making sure they're doing their part to help the planet. And like we always say, in the end, the choice is yours.